I cared for my paralyzed husband for 20 years. When the fire broke out, he abandoned me and ran out of the burning building, looking at my husband, whose legs were perfectly fine. I closed my eyes in despair. When I opened my eyes again, my husband was holding my hand, weeping with gratitude. I owe you so much for all these years. I would have left long ago if it weren't for you. I gently patted my husband's hand. Don't worry, in this lifetime, I'll send you on your way a little earlier. At 4 in the morning, my alarm clock went off right on time. I jolted awake, gasping for air. Still shaken, a voice reached my ears. What's wrong? Your leg. The words nearly escaped my lips. My husband sighed. It's all my fault for holding you back. You work so hard massaging me every night, and I still can't feel a thing. He was filled with guilt at that moment. It was a stark contrast to how he had turned and fled, abandoning me in the fire in our previous life. My gaze fell on my paralyzed husband. There was nothing wrong with those legs. I was reborn. Rage propelled me into a leap, and I came crashing down, my full weight landing squarely on the meniscus of his knee as I vaulted over him, weighing in at nearly 200 pounds. I brought my entire mass to bear on his knee. My husband, caught completely off guard, let out a sharp oof, and even jerked his leg up. Yao Songming clearly hadn't expected me to be so careless. His face already flushed a deep crimson. Honey, did your leg just twitch a moment ago? Veins bulged on Yao Songming's forehead as he gritted through the pain. What? That's impossible. You must be seeing things. I turned my back, grinding my teeth in bitter hatred. Why couldn't I have just crushed that son of a bitch? This marks the 20th year of Yao Songming's feigned paralysis. It's also my 300th day of tending to him without fail, bathing him, feeding him, and giving him massages every single night. On top of that, I run a rice noodle and fried skewer shop during the day, working from 4 a.m. until I get home at 10 p.m., surviving on just 4 or 5 hours of sleep. I bear it all without complaint. Scene after scene from my past life makes me look like a complete fool. They made a fool out of me for an entire lifetime. Just before I left, my mother-in-law pressed a carton of milk into my hand. No matter how busy you are, don't forget to eat breakfast. In my past life, I willingly gave everything because of these sweet words, but now I know better than anyone that beneath their sugar-coated words lies a heart more venomous than any other. I kept a straight face and left the house alone, just as I always did. The rice noodle shop is quite well known locally. Despite its small size, its daily revenue reaches several thousand yuan, and after all expenses, the monthly profit is over 30,000. Every penny I earned went straight into my mother-in-law's pocket. To cut costs, we only hired one helper for the shop. I ended up taking on everything myself, handling all the work personally. The first thing I did when I got to the shop was replace one of my mother-in-law's payment QR codes. If I replaced them all at once, I was afraid I'd tip my hand and alert her. After a long, busy day, I transferred the day's earnings to Sister Hong, who helps out at the shop. Her son was recently hospitalized, so winning her loyalty was crucial. After all, in my past life, she was the spy my mother-in-law planted right beside me. I turned back and went home. There wasn't a sound from inside. I gently opened the door, and sure enough, the house was completely empty. On the bed in the bedroom, Yao Songming was nowhere to be seen. The old woman, who usually complained of headaches and was reluctant to go out, was also gone. I took out a hidden camera and installed it in an inconspicuous spot in the house. I quietly turned on the gas, and then I left. An hour later, the fire engine pulled up outside my building. My mother-in-law and Yao Songming had to rush home. One of them came from Ueshio residential complex, the other hurried back from the town square. That evening, back at home, we stared at the kitchen, which had nearly been burnt to a crisp. Yao Songming glared at her mother in frustration. How could you forget to turn off the gas? The mother-in-law protested, but I distinctly remember turning it off. If it wasn't you, then who else could it have been? Yao Songming snapped, her tone sharp with anger. The mother-in-law argued back, why couldn't it have been you? She stopped mid-sentence and immediately looked at me. I pretended to be tidying up nearby, acting as if I hadn't heard a thing. Yao Songming even yelled at his mother, I think you're just getting senile. You've lost your marbles. After my shower, as I was heading to the next room to rest, Yao Songming asked me why I wasn't giving him a massage today. In my past life, I gave him daily massages for his rehabilitation, each session lasting over an hour. Over time, the constant strain made the joints in my fingers swollen and enlarged. Yet, Yao Songming grew accustomed to it day after day, casually enjoying his massage while scrolling on his phone. Hearing a simple, thank you for your hard work at the end made me foolishly feel like it was all worth it. I pulled out an authoritative article, I read something today that said improper massage techniques can even cause irreversible damage. How about I take you to a rehab center for professional therapy instead? Yao Songming immediately shook his head. No, there's no need for a rehab center. I just won't do it anymore. Of course he wouldn't agree. Why would he ever want to be cooped up in a rehab center? The next day, I secretly took my mother-in-law's key away, watching the mother and son on the security camera, standing at the door looking for a locksmith. I rushed home too. Through the camera, I saw that when I knocked, Yao Songming hadn't even changed his clothes before diving under the covers. Terrified I'd find out he'd just come in from outside. Mom, what's wrong with the lock? I lost my keys, the elderly woman replied softly. Her head bowed. Why didn't you call me? I could have just come back to bring you a spare. You're so busy. I didn't want to trouble you. A look of unmistakable distress remained on the elderly woman's face. I walked into the room and saw Yao Songming's face flushed bright red. Songming, why is your face so red? You're not running a fever, are you? Yao Songming hastily replied. No, it's nothing. As I said that, I went to pull back Yao Songming's quilt. Let me feel. Are you wearing too many layers? And why is your quilt pulled up so high? The moment my hand touched him, Yao Songming hastily pulled the quilt tighter. I'm not hot. I'm actually a bit cold. Cold, that's even more of a sign you're running a fever. Let me take a look, quickly. No, really, it's not necessary. Oh, let me have a look. Yapping. Amid the argument, the mother-in-law behind her suddenly spoke up urgently. What is it, Mom? The mother-in-law and Yao Songming exchanged a look, then she blurted out, Songming, he had an accident in his pants. I stifled a laugh. So he had an accident. It's not like I've never seen that before. In my past life, Yao Songming even deliberately soiled the bed to make me clean it up. The very next day, he and his mother would turn it into a joke and mock me relentlessly. His mother even said that one day she'd pretend to be paralyzed too, just so I could wipe her backside. My mother-in-law, who was behind me, stopped me and pulled me aside, yapping, You've had a long day. I'll take care of this. You go and get some rest. How could I refuse my mother-in-law's insistent hospitality? I simply turned and went into the next room. On the monitor, Yao Songming emerged from under the covers, sweating profusely, and berated his mother. You lost the keys. You really are losing your marbles. First you forgot to turn off the gas. Now you lose the keys. You almost got me caught. And whose fault is that? You're the one sneaking out every day to see that homewrecker. You're the one obsessed with what's outside. Why don't you just move out already? Obsessed with what's outside. You expect me to be obsessed with her, all 200 pounds of her. Look who's talking. You're the obsessed one, swapping out old men like it's a daily chore. Mother and son were locked in a heated back-and-forth argument. Yao Songming seems to have forgotten that when he was courting me, I was the belle of the office. Then, in the 3rd month after I gave birth, he unexpectedly became paralyzed. To take care of this family and him, my meals were irregular, and I often didn't have my first bite of the day until midnight. That's how my weight ballooned to over 200 pounds. Early in the morning, I called a locksmith to come and change the locks. Once the new lock was installed, I had my mother-in-law register her fingerprint. I put away the card and the spare key. Mom, from now on, you just need to put your finger in to open the door. No more worrying about forgetting your keys. What about the passcode? My mother-in-law asked this on Yao Songming's behalf. Fingerprint is more convenient than a passcode. It can be set for 2 people, one for you and one for me. Songming doesn't go out much anyway. My mother-in-law wanted to press further, but I simply walked out the door. I caught a glimpse of Yao Songming on the bed, shooting a fierce glare at his mother. On the monitor, I heard Yao Songming angrily scold his mother. Is it really that hard to get the password? How am I supposed to get back in without it? Couldn't you have come home earlier to wait for me? If you hadn't lost the keys, would we be in this mess? At your age, what are you doing chasing after some old man? From now on, you're staying home, no more going out. Yao Songming's words infuriated his mother-in-law, and she stormed out, slamming the door behind her. Yao Songming stood there, frozen, unsure whether to leave or stay. A moment later, the phone rang. Songming, where are you? Weren't we supposed to take our son to visit the private school today? Honey, I'm sorry, something came up. I'm on my way now. I watched everything in the video, but my heart remained completely still. Yao Songming played 2 roles, a servant for others during the day, and a master for me at home. In my past life, he couldn't even wait for my first week memorial to pass before rushing into marriage with someone else. Grandma recently got a new dance partner, Uncle Lee. He's what you'd call the heartthrob among the old-timers. All the grannies in the square are flocking to him, utterly captivated and head over heels. Yet, Uncle Lee shows a special fondness for grandma alone. He's turned down countless other ladies to become her exclusive dance partner. This fills grandma with immense pride. She's completely love-struck, dressing up to the nines every single day. As the time for my return home drew near, my mother-in-law was still out gallivanting. Yao Songming was frantic with worry, standing at the door trying to call her, but he couldn't get through. At that very moment, Uncle Lee had taken her to the movies. The two of them were lost in their own little world of affection in the cinema. How could they possibly hear a phone ringing? I received a call from Yao Songming, yapping, "I suddenly have a craving for that roast chicken from the place in the eastern suburbs. We live on the west side. A round trip to the eastern suburbs would take nearly an hour." "Okay, I'll buy it for you." Yao Songming finally breathed a sigh of relief. Okay. I just ordered delivery with a rush fee. I said I'd buy it for you. I never said I'd go get it myself. Yao Songming was completely stunned when the delivery arrived. Since I didn't go myself, it meant I was already on my way home. The phone rang just as I was entering the residential complex. "Songming, I'm almost home. I ordered the roast chicken for delivery, and it's already arrived. Why did you get delivery instead of going to buy it yourself?" "I just thought going back and forth would be a waste of time. It's from the same place, so it's the same thing." Yao Songming's voice grew urgent. "What do you mean, same old thing? You go buy it for me right now." Is it really so hard for a paralyzed man to get a taste of something from outside? In my past life, he was often like this, flying into a rage at the drop of a hat whenever his unreasonable demands weren't met. It's probably closed by now, and besides, I'm already downstairs. I'm not going to indulge you this time around. You're already downstairs. Yeah, okay, let's drop it. In the video, Yao Songming was so frantic he was pacing in circles. I walked up the stairs step by step, my phone ringing incessantly with calls from Yao Songming. Just as I stepped into the building's entrance, someone suddenly called out to me from behind. "Hey," it was my son, Yao Wuxin. "Hey" was what he called me. My son tugged at my arm and demanded, "I want barbecue from the street next door." I looked at my son sideways, pinched his nose, and said, "You're just like your father." "What do you mean?" "The same, just as greedy for food." I looked at him with a smile, my gaze profound. Of course, it was the same kind of greed. My son clearly looked reluctant, yet he pretended to go along with it. "Heh, so are you going to take me or what? What brings you home today?" My son scratched his head and avoided my question. I watched my son's retreating back inside. I had already given him a chance. My son usually boards at school. To leave campus, a parent must request leave. I didn't, so that only leaves Yao Songming. While my son was out ordering barbecue, I saw on the security camera that my mother-in-law had hurried back home, her face flushed with excitement. Yao Songming snapped angrily, "So you finally decided to come back. Do you have any idea I almost got caught by her again? If we keep this up, the truth will come out sooner or later." My mother-in-law looked puzzled and said, "Why do I get the feeling Yapping has been acting a bit strange lately?" My heart skipped a beat. It seemed my mother-in-law was the sharpest one of all. Looks like I'll have to move this stumbling block out of the way ahead of schedule. Strange? You're calling me strange? You're the strange one, prancing around at your age. Living with you is nothing but trouble, thankfully. Yao Songming was dense enough. The mother-in-law flared up immediately. "So it's fine for you to gad about. I'm the one who's fed up with the hassle. In a few days, once I've bought a place, I'm moving out. You can do whatever you want." Yao Songming frowned and stared at his mother. "What did you say? Buy a house? What are you messing around for at your age? What do you need a house for? At my age, it's time I started living for myself. If you find me a bother, I'll just move out. Your Uncle Lee and I have been looking at places these past few days. A 2-bedroom by the river for $1 million. Buy a house? Have you lost your mind? You're at this age and you still want to pour money into something like that. What's wrong with being older? Precisely because I'm older, I should go after the life I want." Looks like mother-in-law has been binging on those motivational videos. Yao Songming was hopping mad. "No, I won't allow it. Shanshan wants to send Xiaoya to a private school, which costs 300,000 a year, and then there's the child's future wedding. It all costs money." The mother-in-law snorted coldly. "It's not enough for you to laze around at home all day, you have to go out and fool around. That Shanshan is clearly a troublemaker. How much money have you already taken from me for her? You have a son of your own, and now you've gone and gotten another one. For all I know, that boy might not even be yours. If I don't go out and have a bit of fun, am I supposed to just lie in bed all day pretending to be paralyzed?" The mother-in-law flatly refused. I said no, and that's final. The money is in my hands, and I absolutely will not allow you to give another cent to that witch. "Mom, don't you forget, it was your idea for me to fake paralysis and have yapping wait on me. If you don't give me the money, I'll just go tell her the truth. If she sees I can stand, she'll be over the moon. The way she's let herself go, it's not like she'd dare divorce me anyway. When the time comes, I'll play the noble hero sacrificing family ties. I'll say you forced me into it back then, and you won't see a single cent of that money ever again." The mother-in-law was so furious she pointed a trembling finger at Yao Songming, clutching her chest. If there's one thing this mother and son have in common, it's sheer selfishness. How else could they have cooked up a scheme like faking paralysis? The next day, it didn't stop mother-in-law from heading out early to meet Uncle Lee. Uncle Lee had sent me his location in advance. I took a photo and sent it to my husband, feigning panic. The restroom at the shop was out of order, so I went to the park, and then I saw Mom. Songming, we should think about Mom's later years too. But it looks like Mom and that old man went into a real estate sales center, the sales office. Yapping, you have to stop Mom for me, no matter what it takes. I had no intention of actually coming up with a plan. I just pretended to be frantic as I called Yao Songming. Songming, what do we do? Mom says she wants to put the property under Uncle Lee's name on the surveillance feed. Yao Songming looked utterly restless, unable to stand still or sit still. No matter which path he chose, it was a losing move. If he came to stop me in person and stood before me, I would have realized his leg was perfectly fine. If he didn't show up, the house would be registered under Uncle Lee's name. At that moment, Yao Songming was pacing anxiously, like an ant on a hot pan, utterly frantic. I had truly underestimated just how ruthless Yao Songming could be. Half an hour later, a van from a psychiatric hospital pulled up outside the sales office. It was a private institution. Yao Songming had already prepaid for a full year, so the staff didn't ask any questions and just bundled his mother into the vehicle. "According to your son, you've exhibited severe memory loss over the past month, forgetting things more frequently. You've repeatedly left the gas on and forgotten your keys. We suspect you're showing signs of dementia. Your son has requested we provide you with systematic treatment." "I'm not sick." The old woman flew into a rage, shoving away anyone who came near her. The doctors exchanged a glance. "The patient is showing signs of mania. Furthermore, they directly produced a piece of evidence. This is the proof of your depression from your youth, provided by your son. In short, the mother-in-law has a mental illness." The mother-in-law's eyes widened visibly. Such a thing would only be known by those closest to her. Even I, in my past life, had no idea. That beast, that little beast, he's trying to get me killed, to have me taken away, just to make room for that vixen and her brat. My mother-in-law suddenly looked in my direction, a faint glimmer appearing in her eyes. Yapping, my daughter-in-law, my good daughter-in-law, you have to believe me. I'm not sick. I'm really not sick at all. It's all Yao Songming's doing, that little bastard. He wants me dead. I tell you, he's got someone on the outside." "Mom, what are you talking about? How could Songming, a paralyzed man, possibly have an affair?" I didn't believe a word of it. I pretended to gently urge her along, saying, "Mom, you just focus on getting better. I'll come visit you when I have time." The doctors behind her surged forward like a raging tide. My mother-in-law was so frantic that tears welled in her eyes. Yapping, "Songming is faking it. There's absolutely nothing wrong with his legs." "Mom, what did you say?" My mother-in-law stopped in her tracks and looked at me, her eyes brimming with tears. Yapping, "Songming's legs are fine. He's been pretending all these years." I stared steadily at my mother-in-law, wondering if, in that moment, she regretted the decision she had made all those years ago. Then, I slowly turned to face the doctor and spoke in a solemn tone. "Doctor, my mother-in-law is seriously ill. I'm sorry to trouble you with this." At that, my mother-in-law completely broke down, wailing incessantly, but it was no use. I handed the performance fee to Uncle Lee. He gave me a wink and a snap of his fingers, telling me to keep him in mind for any good gigs like this in the future. As he was leaving, he couldn't resist teasing, "If I really married your mother-in-law, I'd have a house in my name. Don't you think you should sweeten the deal a little more?" I smiled faintly. "Uncle Lee, do I need to remind you about how your early gambling habits landed you on the credit blacklist?" Uncle Lee's face changed. How do you know that?" "I know more than just that. A scoundrel can be useful, but I also have to make sure I don't get truly entangled with one." Yao Songming called, demanding to know why a crowd had suddenly gathered outside my house. There were people from the neighborhood, as well as reporters from various media outlets. Of course, I was the one who had deliberately tipped them off. When I rushed home, Yao Wuxin was already there. He was the only person I had ever given the door code to. "Looks like he's the one who came to save his old man in the end." As soon as I approached the door, the reporters swarmed me. "We heard you've been caring for your bedridden husband for 20 years without fail, single-handedly holding the family together. May we do a story on your inspiring journey?" The community committee lady also grasped my hand tightly. "I had no idea we had such a strong woman right here in our neighborhood. We've decided to submit your story and nominate you as Lingjiang City's Touching Figure of the Year." The ring of reporters all turned to surround Yao Songming. "Sir, regarding your wife caring for you for 2 decades, what are your thoughts?" At this moment, there was no way Yao Songming would stand up in front of everyone. "I'm so grateful to my wife. Without her, I'm afraid I would have been long gone." Yao Songming played along perfectly. Waxing lyrical to the media about our deep marital bond, I stood to the side, offering a faint smile as I watched his hypocritical face. I just wanted to tell him, in this lifetime, I'll do my best to send you off a little earlier. The news of our situation caused a massive online sensation as soon as it was reported. The very next day, our doorstep was completely swarmed by reporters from all kinds of media outlets and independent creators. They all had their phones propped up, ready to stream. Someone had started this "Help Yapping Keep an Eye on Her Husband" Cloud Edition campaign. Friends, Yapping not only has to manage the shop during the day, but also comes home to care for her husband at night, to give her peace of mind while she's at work. Let's all do our part as netizens and keep an eye on her husband for her through the live stream. Some people just looking to milk the situation for online clout would shove their phones right in Yao Songming's face the moment our front door opened. Dozens of phones were trained on Yao Songming from every angle, filming him around the clock. At the gym, while I was doing my cardio, I logged into the live stream and saw Yao Songming, forced to lie in bed all day in the exact same position, unable to move a muscle. His face was a picture of pure agony. Etched with the weary marks of prolonged torment, I roared with laughter, feeling nothing but sheer, unadulterated delight. "So you like being paralyzed, do you? So you enjoy pretending to be paralyzed, is that it? Alright then, have it your way, play dead all you want." Netizens voluntarily started cooking for Yao Songming at our place, but on camera, he was visibly getting rounder by the day. After a week, his face looked like it had been inflated. Well, it's my own fault. I had completely revamped the kitchen earlier, lacing all the seasonings with hormones and mixing pig feed into the ingredients in the fridge, and now, Yao Songming is ballooning up like a prize sow. Among the sea of phones, I set up my own, naming it Yapping Self-Reliance. It'd be a waste not to ride the wave of Yao Songming's popularity. A lot of people in the livestream were sending me tips and gifts. In the digital age, I'm certainly going to cash in on this opportunity. Meanwhile, on the other side, someone was getting restless. Yao Songming's phone kept ringing. With so many people around, he didn't dare answer, hanging up each call one by one. It was clear just how frantic the caller was. Over time, any kind of hype inevitably fades. The number of people in my live stream dropped from its peak of over 100,000 concurrent viewers to a mere 100. I knew that in a little while, this wave of popularity would be completely gone. Yao Songming was the first to lose his composure. He simply couldn't hold out any longer like this. "Yapping, we have to go on with our lives. Besides, putting ourselves out there like this in front of the public isn't good for the child either." "I don't see how it's bad for the child. His son is the life of the party in all those live streams, and he's raking in a fortune from viewer donations." Recently, his school teacher even told me that he's constantly asking for time off and has no desire to go to school at all. With the college entrance exams right around the corner, he's just wasting his time and learning nothing. But I guess that's just his lot in life. A couple of days later, I posted a video on my social media account, thanking everyone for their support and expressing my wish to return to a quiet life. Netizens showed their support and understanding, even turning their criticism towards the self-media creators gathered at the door. As the online sentiment shifted, those who had gathered for profit naturally dispersed just as quickly. Not long after, Yao Songming started causing trouble again. "Yapping, you're so busy at the shop during the day, and we can't let the business suffer. Why don't we hire some help? Hire someone." I knew exactly what Yao Songming was up to. Did he really think I wouldn't see through his little scheme? Sure enough, after I found a few aunties to look after Yao Songming, he found excuses to fire every single one of them. One of the most bizarre reasons he gave was that his aunt looked just like his mother. He said he didn't want to see his mother because it would be too painful. That was until Shanshan showed up at our house, saying she wanted to apply for the nanny position, but to avoid any appearance of impropriety, Yao Songming said to me right in front of her, "How can I, a grown man, be alone in a room with her? that's not appropriate, let's just forget it. Just then, Shanshan suddenly burst into tears and said to me, "Big sister, I have no choice, my husband from the countryside beats me. I had to run away, I can't work in public places, so I'm begging you, please take me in." This trick was absolutely taught to her by Yao Songming, because he, more than anyone, knows my weakness, my soft heart. Back when Yao Songming pretended to protect a child and got hit by a car, leaving him paralyzed, he also told me through tears that he could never be a burden to me for the rest of his life and that I should remarry. At that time, looking at such a seemingly devoted and righteous Yao Songming, I resolutely decided to stay and take care of him. Naturally, I went along with their wishes. "Young lady, you should stay. Songming is bedridden and paralyzed. He can't do anything to you. You'll be safe here. Just take good care of him." Out of the corner of my eye, I caught a glimpse of Yao Songming, a smug smile playing at the corner of his lips. What they didn't see was the cunning glint in my own eyes. During my absence, Yao Songming and Shanshan happily began their cozy little life together. The two of them were all lovey-dovey, sweet as can be, putting on a shockingly explicit, X-rated show for the camera. I captured every single frame perfectly, but I couldn't bear to watch a single second of it. Shanshan was clinging to Yao Songming, who had recently been fed like a pig and ballooned to nearly 200 pounds. It was a mystery how she stomached the overwhelming disgust, even planting kisses on his rolls of fat. "This isn't so bad," she cooed. "That woman works her fingers to the bone to support the both of us. What a cushy life. No wonder you're so reluctant to give it up." Yao Songming wore a smug look. "That stupid woman was born to serve me. It's her lot in life. Just you wait. Once you give me a son, she'll be right there to wait on you during your confinement and raise the boy for you." "Oh, you're awful," Shan cooed playfully. Yao Songming pulled her into his arms. "Once I've made enough money, I'll kick her to the curb." The esthetician came in and showed me today's price list. "The premium spa experience is $19.99. Shall we begin, madam?" I nodded. "Just finished my personal training session. I'm a bit tired." Yao Songming's card still only had his old savings. To this day, he thought all the money I was working so hard for outside was being funneled straight into his pocket. He didn't know that after my mother-in-law was taken away, I had already swapped all the store's payment QR codes for my own. Now, every single cent I earn is mine. Personal training sessions. Sign me up. Treat yourself to a spa massage. Dine at a fine restaurant. Adorn yourself with fine jewelry. A woman must learn to love herself. Money spent on yourself is money well spent. Money spent on others is like water flowing by, leaving no trace behind. Using the excuse of being on hand to help Yao Songming at night, Shanshan said, "Sis, I'll stay on the cot and keep an eye on brother Yao. That way, you can get some proper rest." But in reality, Shanshan's true motive was to carry on her illicit affair with Yao Songming under the cover of night. In the middle of the night, I got up on purpose to use the bathroom, startling Shanshan so much that she scrambled from Yao Songming's bed back to her own cot. The next day, Shanshan even brought her child over, once again trying to win my sympathy by saying the child wasn't getting enough to eat or wear at the grandmother's house, so she had secretly taken the child in. Yao Songming waved his hand dismissively. "Shanshan takes very good care of me. She's in a tough spot, and I can't just stand by and watch her child suffer." Songming is right. It's just a matter of setting an extra place at the table. Having a child around will make the place livelier. Shanshan also started wanting the same treatment as Yao Songming. Late one night when I got home, Yao Songming said he wanted some zhajiangmian. After I made it and brought it in, I saw on the monitor that Shanshan was holding the bowl, eating it up in big mouthfuls. Through Yao Songming's words, Shanshan was constantly voicing her various demands. It was like I was serving both of them single-handedly. Every night, Shanshan would thoughtfully bring me a glass of milk, telling me it helps with sleep. Yao Songming teased, saying Shanshan had been putting on quite a bit of weight lately. Shanshan brushed it off. "This is just happy weight for the two of us. But what about your wife? The one you used to call a pig? How did she get as skinny as a rake? Who knows? Maybe she's just tired, or maybe she's sick. But being sick would actually be perfect. If she doesn't die, how can we be together openly and properly?" Shanshan pushed Yao Songming away. "Don't you dare wish for her death. If she dies, who's going to make money and take care of us?" Yao Songming pulled Shanshan close. "You'll take care of me. You can run that rice noodle shop from now on. Forget it. I'm not cut out for that kind of grueling work." To this day, Yao Songming still fails to see that Shanshan is the kind of woman who's only there for the good times, not the hard ones. During the day, the family of three was all smiles, with their son Xiaoyi calling out "Dad" over and over. At that moment, the son kicked a stool out of the way, plopped himself on a table like he owned the place, completely ignoring the other customers in the shop. He'd picked up the nasty habit of smoking from who knows where. Give me some money. I raised him for nearly 20 years, and he won't even call me mom. I've sent all my money to your father. You'd better go ask him for it. Yao Wuxin snorted coldly. He won't give it to me. I don't know what's gotten into him. You're at the shop every day. How can you not have any money? All I have left here is the money for restocking inventory. My son snatched my phone right away, shoved me to the ground, and transferred every last cent of the few $100s from my other phone. You'd better get me some money, or else, when I go down a bad path, don't say I didn't warn you. Using himself as a threat against me. He was just the same in my past life, countless times. Terrified he would turn bad, I ended up giving him the money I had scraped together from my own meager living. I met every single one of his demands, and in return, he played games at the funeral, blamed me for being bad luck, and said I made him lose. My voice choked with emotion. Son, in the cupboard at home, there's 30,000 yuan I've saved up over the years. That's really all I have left. My son turned and went straight home. He never comes home usually. So Yao Songming at the house was completely caught off guard. Yao Wuxin came home to find the two of them in a state of disarray. Dad, who is she? Are you involved with the nanny? Yao Songming's son was seeing Yao Wuxin for the first time. Hearing someone else call his father dad did not sit well with him. He aimed his toy gun at Yao Wuxin and started firing. Don't you call him dad. He's not your father. He's mine. You're a bad guy. I'll shoot you. I'll shoot you dead. Yao Wuxin was completely stunned. He never expected his father to spring a little brother on him. In a rage, he snatched the toy gun from the boy's hands and smashed it to pieces on the ground. Yao Songming's son rushed forward to grab at Yao Wuxin, only to be shoved hard to the ground by the older man. Shan was having none of it. She started screaming curses at Yao Wuxin and pulling at him, but she too was easily thrown to the ground by the burly young man. Yao Songming watched as his mistress and son were both knocked to the floor. Shan's tearful sobbing only amplified the pitiful, wifely image she was projecting. Yao Songming slapped Yao Wuxin right across the face. You animal, how dare you raise a hand? Do you want to hit me too? You've gone too far. I won't give you a single cent from now on. Great, that's great. Not a single cent for you, not a penny. Yao Songming's youngest son jumped up and down with glee. The prospect of getting no money seemed to drive Yao Wuxin out of his mind. He could take it no longer. He kicked Yao Songming's son away, then hoisted him high into the air and flung him down. The boy's head snapped back, his eyes closed, and he fell unconscious. Shan cried out in desperation, but her son simply wouldn't wake up. At the hospital, the doctor asked if the child had ingested anything containing ether or similar substances. Shan kept shaking her head, but the next second, she suddenly remembered something. Her hands began to tremble. Milk, that's right, every night, she would kindly bring me a glass of milk. But she had laced it with ether. Her plan was to knock me out so the two of them could do whatever they pleased. Little did she know, I would place that ether-laced milk in the most conspicuous spot on the table every day, and every night. It was actually her greedy son who ended up drinking it. Sharia, no wonder he's been sleeping so soundly lately. Shan sobbed, her gaze suddenly shifting to me. It's yapping, that vile woman. That milk was clearly meant for her. She must have been trying to kill my son. The doctor shouted that the child needed an emergency blood transfusion. The blood bank is critically low. The child has type AB blood. Does anyone here have type AB? At that moment, Yao Songming looked up dully, meeting Shan's utterly terrified gaze. Yao Songming charged at Shan like a madman, grabbing her shoulders. He's type AB. You and I are both type A. Tell me, whose child is he? You've been raising this little bastard for me. You've been making a fool out of me. Is that it? Shan tried to push Yao Songming away, but he clamped his hands tightly around her neck. He's your child. I appeared before them in the corridor. Yao Songming looked up and met my cold, detached gaze. It seemed he no longer recognized me. Yeah, yapping. Mom, I've changed. Lately, I've been pushing myself to lose weight, watching what I eat, and signing up for personal training sessions. They all just thought I was sick, that my sudden weight loss was due to some illness. No one paid any attention to the transformation I was going through. Now, with makeup on, in new clothes and wearing jewelry, I stand before them as a completely new person, and they don't even recognize me. In his astonishment, my son couldn't help but come over to me. Mom, how did you get so beautiful? He finally called me mom after all this time, and it only happened after I changed my appearance. Was the old me not even worthy of that one word from him? A woman is better off making herself radiant and well kept than slaving away for the family alone. Yao Songming has taken on the role of a house husband at home, cooking meals and calling me several times a day to see when I'm coming home. But I'm busy every day with opening new branches and negotiating franchise deals. I took full control of the family's rice noodle shop. It's the taste that wanderers far from home crave. I launched an online delivery service, and soon a processing factory approached me to scale up and sell in bulk online. To my surprise, it opened up a whole new online sales channel overnight. Yao Songming hasn't seen a single penny come into his pocket since, and he doesn't dare utter a word of complaint. I personally showed him all the videos I had of him at home, including the explicit footage of his marital affair. The evidence of him faking paralysis for 20 years was even more extensive. Any single piece was enough to make him leave with nothing. Burning bridges with me now would do him no good at all. He's still holding out hope that I'll change my mind, but he's being incredibly naive. We've been married for 20 years, after all, we have a son together. How could you bear to make him grow up in a single-parent home? I have a heart, I'm not made of stone. I promise I'll change from now on. But I was long past listening to any of that. You wanted me to change my mind, but all I wanted was your life. Whenever Yao Songming was bored at home, he'd pass the time by eating anything he could find. He remained blissfully unaware that his weight was only increasing, making him fatter by the day. After all, I never cleared out the various types of pig feed I'd hidden in the kitchen. At the hospital, Shanshan's son was critically ill. She asked Yao Songming for money several times, but he ignored her completely. It wasn't until her son died in the hospital that Shanshan filed a lawsuit against my son, Yao Wuxin, accusing him of intentional homicide. My son came to beg me to find him a lawyer. He knelt before me, weeping and pleading, "Mom, I'm your only son. You can't just stand by and watch me drown. You can't abandon me now." But I tried to guide you, and you wouldn't listen. Now that I've finally decided to let go, why are you suddenly so unwilling? He skipped studying to go to internet cafes. When I went to find him, he smashed a keyboard in my face in front of everyone. He lay at home playing mobile games, and when I snatched his phone, he attacked me with his fists and feet. It seems he has forgotten all of this. At my funeral, my son, who didn't shed a single tear, knelt before me not out of remorse, but out of fear. From the 10 months I carried him, to his infancy when he cried for food, to the 18 years I raised him, he has shown me not a shred of gratitude. My son, cold and indifferent by nature, is beyond my control. Society and the state will naturally take over the task of disciplining him. Your father still has 200,000, that's more than enough to hire you a lawyer. In my past life, Yao Songming had the money, so our son was close to him. In this life, I have the money, so our son is close to me. I handed the surveillance footage to my son. Fueled by rage, I launched myself, vaulting over him and landing with crushing force directly on the meniscus of his knee. And now, 200,000. You might as well take my life. You expect me to pay you 200 grand for that little bastard? Dream on, you've got the wrong person. That little brat isn't worth a single penny of mine. My son, Yao Wuxin's hand was trembling. Just before he left, he snatched the cleaver from the chopping block in my shop. The shop was packed with customers, and I was busy running the business. Later, the police told me my house had been burned down. Yao Wuxin, holding a knife, was provoked by Shanshan, who declared that Yao had killed her son and vowed to make him rot in prison. Spurred on by those words, Yao Wuxin plunged the knife into Shanshan's stomach. Like a man possessed, Yao Wuxin charged at Yao Songming with a knife, but Yao Songming managed to dodge the attack. As Yao Songming tried to flee the room, he found his bulky frame stuck in the bedroom doorway. Unable to move, Shanshan desperately crawled towards the exit, only to be dragged back by Yao Wuxin, who then set the house ablaze. By the time the fire department arrived, both had been reduced to ashes. Yao Wuxin was taken away by the police. The law will see to his punishment. My rice noodle shop has successfully opened several franchise locations across multiple city districts. Business is booming, and monthly revenue has long since surpassed 300,000 yuan. With my marriage to Yao Songming dissolved, I naturally have no obligation to support his mother. The payments for the psychiatric hospital have stopped, and what happens to her now is their own affair. I founded a cloud kitchen, using clean ingredients with fully traceable origins. Every step of the process is completed under the watchful eyes of netizens via live streaming. People nowadays prefer food that's healthy, clean, and gives them peace of mind. As for me, I become a hands-off boss, traveling far and wide in this life. I'm determined to experience all the sights I never saw and the life I never lived in my last one. Story 2. When my officer husband Retshin slapped me to the ground, 3 months pregnant, for the sake of his savior Lia's son, after 8 years of blindly adoring Retshin, I suddenly woke up. I calmly went to the hospital to terminate the pregnancy, severing the last thread tying me to Retshin. A year later, Retshin finally remembered me, his so-called wife who had been carrying his child. He came carrying bags of gifts, wanting to see me and his child. I laughed. You divorced me to marry another woman. Why would I keep your child just to disgust myself? I've been reborn. I was reborn on the day my military officer husband, Retshin, gave all the money I had saved for childbirth to his savior, Lia's son, to buy appliances, watching the large color TV, refrigerator, and washing machine being moved into Lia's son's house next door. I finally realized the money I had saved for childbirth was gone. It felt like a bolt from the blue. I went to confront Retshin, only to see Lia's son coyly nestled in his arms. Witnessing such intimacy between my husband and another woman, I trembled with rage. I stepped forward and demanded Retshin account for my missing money. From his embrace, Lia's son answered in a sickly sweet voice. Ret gave all the money to me to buy appliances, staring at Lia's son's smug face. My fury reached its peak. How can you be so shameless? Instead of earning your own money, you just think about spending someone else's. Lia's son cried, her face into a mess from grievance, while Retshin's eyes turned red with anger, forcing me to apologize. How could I possibly apologize? Ever since Retshin transferred Lia's son to the military district to be his confidential secretary, everything had turned upside down. Retshin would frequently go to help Lia's son. With buying rice and flour being a common occurrence, whether Lia's son had a headache or a fever, Retshin was always on call. Even in the middle of the night during a thunderstorm, Lia's son could knock on his door wrapped in a blanket and take Retshin away to accompany her. As for me, his wife of 3 years, Retshin treats me like air. Anger and resentment filled my heart, especially when I saw Lia's son shamelessly throw herself into Retshin's arms right in front of me, his wife. As a provocation, I grew even more furious. You shameless pair, full of deceit and illicit affairs, I'll report you to the military leadership. As my words fell, Retshin suddenly lashed out and struck me hard across the face. I was knocked to the ground by that slap, my head hitting the cabinet in Lia's son's house with a heavy thud. Blood gushed out, and as I lay on the floor, a flood of bewildering memories surged through my mind. It turned out Retshin didn't just give all the money I'd saved for childbirth to Lia's son to buy appliances. He even gave the apartment allocated by my workplace to Lia's son. I cried and made a scene, but it was all in vain. Lia's son is vicious and despicable, constantly scheming and plotting against me. Meanwhile, Retshin blindly trusts Lia's son, after being manipulated by her once again. Retshin used the excuse of his elderly and frail parents needing care to send me back to his hometown thousands of miles away to look after them. In the countryside, I toiled tirelessly, bearing children and caring for his parents, longing day and night for our reunion. Retshin's official position grew ever more prominent, yet he never once considered bringing me back to him. It wasn't until his parents passed away one after another that I went to find Retshin, only to realize I had long since had no connection with him whatsoever. We had already divorced and become strangers from the moment he sent me back to the countryside. After sending me away, he couldn't wait to marry Lia's son, holding a grand wedding ceremony for her. He and Lia's son lived together day and night, deeply in love forever. Lia's son couldn't bear children, so the child I bore and raised with hardship became theirs. Seeing my aged and haggard self at his doorstep, Retshin avoided me, while Lia's son brought my biological son to meet me, dripping with jewels. Lia's son tossed a stack of money at me as if I were trash. Miramu, all these years Ret only used you as a free nanny. I am his rightful and lawful wife, so get lost wherever you came from. My own flesh and blood, my son, also said, Mom, look at what you've become now. You're no longer worthy of Dad. Take the money and leave. I'll send you money every month for your retirement, but on one condition: never show your face in front of our family again. My entire life turned out to be a joke, exploited for others' benefit. The man I deeply loved treated me as a free maid, and even my own son despised me. Overwhelmed by rage and grief, I spat blood and died from sheer fury. Memories of my past life and the present events flashed alternately in my mind. Lying on the ground, I stared fixedly at Retshin and Lia's son. Perhaps the hatred and fury in my eyes were too intense. Retshin, who had been busy comforting the weeping Lia's son, finally spared a glance at me, lying on the ground, bleeding. Seeing my swollen face and bleeding forehead, Retshin froze in shock. He finally remembered that I was a pregnant woman, and Retshin released the sobbing Lia's son to help me up. A surge of hatred filled my heart, and I mustered all my strength to push away his supporting hand. Get away from me. Retshin didn't leave. Instead, he helped me up from the ground. You're bleeding, let me take you to the hospital to get it treated. Didn't you hear me tell you to get lost? If you hadn't been spouting nonsense, I wouldn't have hit you. I just lost my temper. This is entirely your fault. Let's go to the hospital first to treat the wound. We'll talk about apologies later. As he spoke, he ignored my struggles and forcibly carried me in his arms, preparing to take me to the hospital. At that moment, Liao-sun suddenly collapsed weakly to the ground. Seeing Liao-sun faint, Retchen immediately let go of me and rushed toward Liao-sun. Liao, what's wrong? Wake up. Don't you know Liao has a heart condition and can't be stressed? It's all your fault, he shouted at me in a fit of rage, then called for security. Shaoli, drive her to the hospital right now. Retchen rushed out anxiously holding Liao-sun in his arms, and his guard Shaoli immediately drove over upon hearing the commotion. Retchen got into the car with Liao-sun and ordered the guard to drive, completely forgetting about me with my bleeding forehead. The car roared away, and I wiped another trickle of blood from my forehead before staggering back to the house next door. After bandaging my bleeding forehead in front of the mirror, I quietly began to recall my past life. In my previous life, after Retchen hit me, he also ignored my bleeding and only cared about Liao-sun, who was pretending to faint. Filled with anger and hatred, I rushed to the hospital and caused a scene. The consequence of this was Liao-sun having a heart attack and being hospitalized for half a month. As for me, Retchen placed me under house arrest. Because I was pregnant, Retchen didn't confine me, but he did arrange for guards to watch me around the clock. The guard named Shaoli is from the same hometown as Liao-sun and always takes her side. He feigns compliance while acting in opposition, deceiving superiors and subordinates alike. His attitude toward me was very harsh, giving me only one meal a day, 2 hard buns and cold water. By the time Liao-sun was discharged from the hospital, I was emaciated from starvation, reduced to skin and bones. Shaoli claimed I was refusing to eat or drink, and Retchen believed it without question. When you see me, there's not a shred of comfort, only scolding, calling me unrepentant, telling me to hurry up and die if I want to. He also warned me, saying a shrew like me who causes trouble isn't worthy of being his wife, and if I keep making a scene, he'll divorce me. I love Retchen desperately, and hearing him threaten divorce scared me out of my wits. To prevent Retchen from divorcing me, I didn't dare cause any more trouble, but my forbearance changed nothing. Liao-sun kept provoking me every other day, flaunting how much Retchen cared for and liked her. I was so infuriated by Liao-sun's words that I inevitably got into another argument with her. Liao-sun set me up once again. She deliberately rolled down the stairs herself and falsely accused me of pushing her. Liao-sun is hospitalized again, this time claiming that I pushed her, causing uterine damage that left her permanently infertile. I explained to Retchen that I didn't push Liao-sun. She framed me and staged the incident herself, but Retchen didn't believe me. He told me I would face jail time for intentional injury. I was terrified. Later, Retchen approached me again, saying he had connections to keep me out of jail. Retchen asked me to return to the countryside to care for his parents, promising to bring me back after I gave birth and the matter was resolved. I had no choice but to agree to Retchen's suggestion. On the day of my departure, Retchen made me sign an apology agreement. I believe Retchen had me sign the so-called apology agreement and then sent me to the countryside. This departure lasted over 30 years. At first, I planned to return to Retchen's side after giving birth, but his mother suffered a cerebral hemorrhage and became bedridden, requiring care. In order to fulfill my filial duties for Retchen, I had no choice but to stay in the countryside. Over these 30 years, Retchen only returned a few times to visit his parents. He even took our son to live with him, claiming it was to lighten my burden. I didn't learn the truth until I was on my deathbed. The so-called apology agreement I signed back then was actually a divorce agreement. Retchen married Liao-sun within 3 months of sending me to the countryside. He even threw a grand wedding for Liao-sun. Since then, I've been treated as their unpaid old servant, wasting over 30 years of my life. The thought of it makes my blood boil. If I could do it all over again, whoever wants to be that old servant can have the job. I'm not doing this anymore. Damn it, I'll abort this bastard child with a wolf's heart and dog's lungs in my belly. Retchen wants a divorce, and I'll grant him his wish. In this lifetime, I'm leaving this pair of scumbags behind to live my own life. Since I'm leaving, I'd better prepare for a rainy day. I've secured some benefits for myself first. The money I saved for having a child has already been given by Retchen to Liao-sun to buy household appliances. There's hardly any money left at home now, but next month is Retchen's birthday, and I prepared a watch as his birthday gift. The watch can be sold first. Additionally, my salary for this month hasn't been paid yet. and I won't be handing it over. Also, when Red Shen and I got married, I joyfully prepared a pair of gold rings. Red Shen found them childish and never wore his, which now conveniently allows me to sell the rings. By this calculation, I can still get back about $1,000, which is enough for my abortion and recovery. Right now, the top priority is the apartment allocated by my workplace. In my previous life, the apartment my unit assigned me was directly given to Lia's son by Red Shen. This time, there won't be such a good deal. I need to sell the apartment first and get some cash. Clutching the watch and gold ring, I rushed to my workplace without caring about my disheveled appearance or the injury on my head. Seeing me in this state, my supervisor was quite surprised and asked what happened. I didn't say much, just told my supervisor, I'm short on money now, and I plan to transfer the house allocated to me. Could you help me find a buyer? The price is negotiable. I've always been a nice guy at work, getting along well with both my supervisor and colleagues. My supervisor agreed to ask around for me, and only then did I go to sell the watch and gold ring. The watch was brand new and unused. I happened to meet a newlywed couple and sold it to them for 50 yuan less than what I had paid. I pawned the ring, which weighed a total of 18 grams, for less than 1,000 yuan, with the money from the watch and the ring. I went to the hospital and directly sought out an obstetrician-gynecologist to explain my purpose. Red Shen and I have been married for 5 years, but we've never been able to conceive. Because of my worries, I often visit the doctor. The doctor knew me very well and, seeing that I wanted to terminate the pregnancy, earnestly tried to persuade me otherwise. My mind was made up, but in the end, the doctor still refused to perform the surgery for me. She told me to get Red Shen's signature for the procedure, as Red Shen is now the leader, without his approval. If I went ahead and terminated Red Shen's child, she would face consequences and disciplinary action. The pregnancy wasn't terminated, and I was in a very bad mood. On the way back, I was thinking about how to get Red Shen to sign the papers. In my past life, Lia's son falsely accused me of pushing her and damaging her uterus, making her infertile. Because of this, Red Shen divorced me and married Lia's son. This time, I won't wait for Lia's son to scheme against me first. I'll strike preemptively and make this accusation a reality, forcing Red Shen to divorce me on his own. Once the divorce is finalized, that heartless bastard will naturally and justly turn into nothing more than a pool of blood. Red Shen didn't return until 9 in the evening. By then, I had already eaten, drunk, washed up, and gone to bed. Half asleep, I felt something brushing against my face, which inexplicably filled me with disgust and hatred. I raised my hand and slapped it away. With a sharp smack, my palm stung, and I was fully awake. A clear handprint appeared on one side of Red Shen's face. Needless to say, it was from me. At this moment, Red Shen glared at me with a livid face. Mira Mu, have you lost your mind? Having known Red Shen for 10 years, I had always been gentle, considerate, and eager to please him. It's easy to imagine how Red Shen must have felt after suddenly being slapped. I rubbed my numb hand and said, I just fell asleep and dreamed I was being chased. I couldn't tell if it was a dream or reality, so I lashed out. Red Shen naturally wouldn't believe my explanation, and I had no intention of making him believe me either. He fumed angrily. I just wanted to see how badly you were hurt, and you actually pretended to be crazy and hit me. Mira Mu, you really are something. Looking at the finger marks on his face, I felt a twinge of regret. I truly wasn't pretending to be crazy. If I had known it was him touching my face, I should have slapped him a few more times. Over there, Red Shen grew even more annoyed when he saw I wasn't responding. You actually went to sleep without waiting for me. You didn't even make dinner. I thought you weren't coming back. As for dinner, didn't you eat with Lia's son? Don't you usually have dinner together? A sheepish expression flashed across Red Shen's face. I shouldn't have hit you today. I was so angry in the heat of the moment. To be honest, you went too far today. You clearly knew I was just helping Lia's son out of gratitude, and you knew she has a heart condition. How could you say those things about her? So he was still intent on blaming me. I stared coldly at Red Shen's handsome face. Before I came to my senses, before I knew the unspeakable things he would do to me, I could never get enough of looking at that handsome face of his. Now that I know what's coming next, I find his face utterly repulsive no matter how I look at it. Red Shen, seeing my silence, softened his tone. Lia was wronged because of you. You should go apologize to her tomorrow, and let's consider this matter settled. What if I refuse to apologize? Don't you understand the principle that if you're wrong, you should admit it? I want to know what I did wrong. Don't I have the right to ask for the money back that you took without my permission? Can we just say I borrowed the money from you? borrowing means repaying. You should return all the money you borrowed from me before as well. Faced with my relentless rebuttals, Retshin's expression became extremely awkward. His salary was already gone between giving money to his parents and Lia's son. Otherwise he wouldn't have needed to touch my money. Retshin took the initiative to grab my hand. Trying to coax me with tender affection, I flung it away. Retshin, let's make things clear. Helping Lia's son is your business, and I won't interfere anymore. But you must return every single cent of my money without touching a penny. In the past, I never spoke up when he used my money, which made Retshin take it for granted. Now, seeing how serious I was, he rubbed his nose and said, Mira, we're husband and wife, one body. There is no such thing as husband and wife as one. From now on, if you want to repay her kindness, I won't stop you. I can promise I won't go and cause trouble for Lia's son anymore, nor will I make any comments about your relationship. Just one thing. Give my money back to me. Retshin stared at me intently. What do you mean? I mean exactly what I said. From now on, we'll each live our own lives. If you want to take care of Lia's son, do it yourself. Don't drag me into it. I have no responsibility or obligation to help you take care of Lia's son. In the past, whenever I got angry and made a scene, as long as Retshin softened his tone and coaxed me a little, I would immediately reconcile with him as if nothing had happened. The sudden change, so different from before, made Retshin's expression darken. Mira Mu, do you realize what you're saying? As a military spouse, helping those in need is your duty. Then why haven't I seen you caring about other people in need? There are plenty around here who are worse off than Lia's son. Why aren't you helping them? My retort left Retshin utterly humiliated. With a cold sneer, his face darkened. What nonsense are you spouting now? I've already said there's nothing between Lia's son and me. She saved me back then, and I'm just repaying her. I've heard it so many times my ears have grown calluses. I directly cut him off. Enough. I'm not interested in your affairs with Lia's son, nor will I ever care again. I only have one demand. Return my money to me. How can money that's been given away be returned? Stop being unreasonable. Let me tell you, I know exactly what's bothering you. It's jealousy, isn't it? How many times have I explained? Why won't you listen? Retshin was already extremely impatient, his tone much more severe. Mira Mu, you'd better put away your petty thoughts. I will continue to help Lia's son. If you refuse to listen and keep stirring up trouble at home, don't blame me for being ruthless. I will divorce you. In my past life, Retshin threatened me with divorce. And I was terrified to death, afraid that Retshin would abandon me, afraid that I wouldn't receive Retshin's love. In this life, I know Retshin's love was never meant for me. It was always for Lia's son, so what is there left to hesitate about? Without a moment's hesitation after his words, I nodded and said, fine, let's get a divorce. My agreement to divorce left Retshin in disbelief. He looked at me as if he'd seen a ghost. Mira Mu, are you sure you want to divorce me? I'm certain. I nodded firmly. We'll get divorced tomorrow. But before that, you have to return all my money. Money again. Are you obsessed with it? Is money all you care about? Retshin asked through gritted teeth. Yes, money is all I care about. Retshin didn't believe I truly wanted a divorce. You're utterly unreasonable. Listen, Mira Mu, don't think you can do whatever you want just because you're pregnant. I didn't do whatever I wanted. The child isn't an obstacle. As long as you sign, I'll go to the hospital tomorrow to get rid of the baby. Seeing my resolute expression, Retshin took a few steps back. Mira Mu, have you lost your mind? How could you even say something like abandoning the child? My firm stance on divorce left Retshin stunned. In anger, he slammed the door and left. He never came back after that, and I didn't bother about him either, lying down to continue resting. The next morning, I was startled awake by a knock at the door. Retshin's guard, Shaoli, stood at the door with breakfast in hand, scowling. The chief asked me to bring you breakfast. Seeing Shaoli didn't improve my mood either, and I snapped, put it over there. Shaoli placed the breakfast on the table, his gaze lingering on my face. I glared back coldly. What are you looking at? You've delivered the stuff, now get lost. I've always been kind to others and never put on airs, to the point where Retshin's guards have always seen me as an easy target, especially this Shaoli, who is from the same hometown as Lia's son and sides with him, has been subtly targeting me all along. Seeing me suddenly so assertive, Shaoli was startled, then quickly turned furious. What's with your attitude? Last night you were jealous and drove the chief to sleep in his office. And today when the chief has humbled himself like this, you still refuse to back down. Let me tell you, Mira Mu, you'd better tone it down. Don't push the chief too far, otherwise, you'll be in for more than you bargained for. Are you threatening me? Who do you think you are? Just a dog by Lia's son's side, yet you act all high and mighty. I'm warning you to show me some respect, push me too far, and I'll expose all the shady dealings between you and Liao Sun." As my words fell, Xiao Li's face turned pale, and without another word, he hurriedly left. Xiao Li's reaction surprised me. I only warned him because I remembered how he helped Liao Sun against me in my past life, but judging by Xiao Li's panicked and fearful demeanor, could there really be some unspeakable dealings between him and Liao Sun? I secretly became alert in my heart. After breakfast, I went to the office again to see my boss, who told me that a colleague wanted my housing allocation quota. However, the other party currently doesn't have much money and can only offer me 4,000 yuan. I knew that housing prices would rise in the future, and 4,000 was indeed too little. I simply had no other choice. The house absolutely couldn't be sold cheaply to Liao Sun. I agreed to the deal, accepting $4,000 to transfer the housing allocation to the other party. Since I'm getting divorced from Ret Shin, there's no way I can continue living here. I'll have to quit my job too. Thinking about the developments 30 years from now, I quietly began forming a plan in my mind. I need to leave this place, head south to do business, and be among the first to get rich. In my mind, I planned to return home soon. Pushing open the door, I was surprised to find Liao Sun sitting in my living room. Seeing me, Liao Sun flashed a sarcastic smile. "Oh, the busy man has finally returned. Huh, what are you doing here?" "Come to see you. You got beaten black and blue by Ret and were bleeding. As a neighbor, how could I not come to check on you?" Liao Sun circled around me with a smile, lowering her voice viciously. "Why don't you just die? How dare you play the reverse psychology card by asking for a divorce? Do you even have the guts? If you dare divorce Ret, the sun will rise from the west." "Of course I dare to divorce, on the condition that you return my money." "Listen, Liao Sun. I have no issue with you and Ret Shin having an affair. You can do whatever you want, but my money must be returned to me. What if I refuse? If you don't return it, I'll report you and Ret Shin for your affair to the military district. Let's see how you two can stay here after that." Liao Sun's face changed. "How dare you? Why wouldn't I dare? Everyone knows about your shady dealings with Ret Shin these past 2 years. Ret Shin pulled strings to transfer you here as his secretary, then funneled our family's money to you. You used my money to buy appliances, clothes, jewelry, and lived the high life. All the neighbors saw it. If the organization investigates, your dirty little secrets with Ret Shin will be exposed. Ret was just helping me. You have no hands or feet. You're a crippled, dying person." I sneered. "There are plenty of people around who need help more than you. Why would Ret Shin help only you and not others? You're a man and woman alone together, engaging in illicit affairs. The public's eyes are sharp, and everyone sees it clearly." Liao Sun grew somewhat fearful. "What exactly do you want? Do you realize this could ruin Ret?" "I know. What does that have to do with me?" I sneered at Liao Sun. "I'm giving you just 3 days. Return my money immediately, or the only thing waiting for you and Ret Shin is utter ruin." Liao Sun left in a sorry state, throwing down a threat as she went, telling me to wait and see. I'm waiting, all fired up and ready. If I don't provoke her a little, how would she act in advance? I'm waiting for Liao Sun's underhanded tricks. Let's see who dies faster this time. The next 2 days passed uneventfully. Ret Shin stayed at the military barracks and never returned. I know he's waiting for me to go apologize and make up with him, in his dreams. I don't have time to deal with him. I've been busy handling matters non-stop, since I'm parting ways with Ret Shin. I certainly won't let Ret Shin and Liao Sun off easy. I sold everything of value that I had bought for the house. I gave away whatever couldn't be sold. I gave the sweaters I knitted for Ret Shin and the new clothes I bought to the wife of Instructor Zhang at the East End. She was very grateful and pulled me aside to chat. Sister Zhang asked me, "Has your chief Shin not come home these past few days?" I nodded, and Sister Zhang looked at me sympathetically. "Mira, you're a good person, and good people often get taken advantage of. There are some things I don't want to say, but I just can't stand seeing you treated this way. That Liao Sun is no good. You need to be careful." "I know, and I don't care anymore. They can do whatever they want. It has nothing to do with me." "But you're pregnant. Even if it's just for the sake of the baby, you need to think about yourself, and sometimes, no matter how much you endure or sacrifice, people still won't leave you alone." Sister James' words hit the nail on the head. Wasn't I the one who kept swallowing my pride and compromising in my past life, only to be schemed against by them in the end? I nodded and said, "Sister Zhang, thank you for the reminder. I'll be careful. Even a rabbit bites when cornered, let alone a person. If they push me too far, I won't let them off easy." Seeing that I took her words to heart, Sister Zhang lowered her voice. "You, watch out for that Shaoli around Chief Shen. There's something fishy going on between him and that Liao Sun. Hearing this, I immediately pressed further. How so, Sister Zhang? I won't hide it from you, that Xiaoli is no good, taking advantage of my easygoing nature. He's been helping Liao Sun bully me all along. Aunt Jing's expression turned serious when she heard me say that. She lowered her voice. That Xiaoli and Liao Sun are having an affair. I saw it with my own eyes. Aunt Jing's words made my heart skip a beat. I immediately recalled the frightened look on Xiaoli's face when I threatened to expose his shady dealings with Liao Sun the other day. So, is it true that Xiaoli and Liao Sun have an improper relationship? But doesn't Liao Sun like Retchen? Why did she get involved with Xiaoli? I immediately asked sister-in-law Zhang. How could Liao Sun take a liking to Xiaoli, a security guard? I always thought she was trying to hook up with Retchen. I don't know about that, but I'm not lying. When Liao Sun first came here, I saw with my own eyes Xiaoli coming out of Liao Sun's house in the middle of the night, not just once, but several times. At the time, I thought they were dating. Until later I realized Liao Sun seemed to have her eyes on your chief Shen. Sister-in-law Zhang stopped there, saying no more. I fell into deep thought. In my past life, Xiaoli had always been protective of Liao Sun, constantly helping her distort the truth and bully me. A significant reason why Retchen didn't believe me was because Xiaoli was aiding and abetting. In my past life, I could never understand why Xiaoli would twist the truth. I had always treated him well, or so I thought. Now, hearing what Aunt Zhang said, I finally reached a conclusion. Could it be that Xiaoli was also one of Liao Sun's admirers, charging into battle for the woman he loves? This explains clearly why Xiaoli would help Liao Sun deal with me like that. Because of Sister Zhang's words, I secretly became more vigilant and paid extra attention to Xiaoli and Liao Sun. But once I started watching closely, sure enough, I discovered something suspicious. Xiaoli actually sneaked into Liao Sun's house at night. I'm not sure if they were having an affair, but a man and a woman alone together in the dead of night can't be up to any good. Thinking of how helpless and pitiful I was when they schemed against me in my past life, a surge of hatred rose within me. I'll make sure this despicable couple gets what they deserve. I grabbed a basin and a stick from the house. I stood guard outside Liao Sun's door, banging loudly while shouting at the same time, "Stop thief! Catch the thief!" in the dead of night. The noise of me banging the basin was so loud that soon all the neighbors woke up and came running to see what was happening. Pointing anxiously at Liao Sun's house, I said, I was going to the bathroom in the middle of the night and saw someone sneaking into Comrade Song's house. It must be a thief. We can't let them get away. No one doubted my words, especially Sister Zhang, who immediately instructed Zhang to lead a group to block the back windows. Others followed my lead and squatted by the front door, making a commotion. After some noise, the door finally opened. Liao Sun and Xiaoli appeared before the crowd. I deliberately raised my voice. So it's Xiaoli. What are you doing at Comrade Song's house in the middle of the night? I have something to discuss with Comrade Song. Xiaoli stammered in response. Something to discuss. What couldn't be said during the day that has to be said at 2 in the morning? Exactly. What could be so urgent in the middle of the night? Unless you two. Sister Zhang raised her voice, and Liao Sun immediately denied. There's nothing between us. Xiaoli was just concerned about my health and came to check on me. Who would believe such nonsense? Nobody bought it. Someone deliberately remarked. Could it be that Comrade Song and Xiaoli are in a relationship? There's nothing wrong with dating. No need to be so secretive about it. No, we're not dating. Liao Sun shot me a venomous glare, vehemently denying any romantic involvement with Xiaoli. Xiaoli also refused to admit it, insisting he had only come to check on Liao Sun out of concern, fearing something might happen to her while she was ill. In the end, it was Retchen who arrived and dispersed the noisy crowd. The onlookers scattered at Retchen's command, and I lost interest in watching the commotion, preparing to leave. Seeing her backer arrive, Liao Sun immediately burst into tears. Xiaoli and I are completely innocent. He was just worried about me and came to bring me medicine. I never expected Comrade Mu to slander us like this. As Liao Sun cried, Xiaoli also began to protest his innocence. Retchen scowled and scolded me. All you do all day is stir up trouble. Why can't you just do something proper? Do you have any idea that your actions could drive someone to their death? I sneered. I only called for help because I saw someone sneaking into Comrade Song's house in the dead of night. Is that wrong? Besides, with so many guards around, why is it that no one else sneaks into Comrade Song's house at night, except for Xiaoli? At my words, both Xiaoli and Liao Sun turned pale, and Retchen also showed a suspicious expression. He's no fool, otherwise, he wouldn't have risen to such a high position. Seeing Retchen glance their way, Liao Sun immediately collapsed to the ground. feigning unconsciousness. She was then rushed to the hospital. I sneered and turned back into the house. I had seen it clearly. Lia's son's gaze at me was filled with venomous hatred. Needless to say, she loathes me to the core. My stirring up the relationship between her and Xiaoli made Lia's son clearly aware that I already knew about their dirty little secret, not wanting the relationship with Xiaoli to be exposed. Lia's son had no choice but to find ways to cover it up. To eliminate me as this major threat, I believe Lia's son will soon make her move, and what I fear most is her not making a move at all. Come into the trap, that's what makes it fun. This morning, I got up and went to work, and everyone I met along the way was talking about Lia's son and Xiaoli's affair. There were all kinds of rumors. I arrived at the office in high spirits and stayed in a great mood all day. At noon, Red Shin came to my workplace to see me and started scolding me as soon as we met. Last night's incident has been clarified. It was indeed Xiaoli who went to check on Lia because he was worried she might have an episode. There's nothing between them, I sneered. Whether they have anything to do with each other is none of my business. You didn't have to come all the way here just to tell me this, did you? Of course, that's not the only reason I came. Miramu, you've been acting outrageously lately. To target Lia, you even tried to smear her reputation by insinuating an improper relationship with Xiaoli. Have you ever considered how much damage such accusations could do to a woman's reputation? I couldn't help but laugh in frustration. When did I slander them? I just saw someone sneaking into Lia's son's house and thought it was a thief. If Xiaoli was genuinely just concerned about Lia's son and wanted to check on her, couldn't he have knocked on the door openly? Why did he have to skulk around like a thief? As expected, it's true love. Retshin is still defending Lia's son. Xiaoli didn't want to disturb the neighbors, so he didn't knock. But you, what are you doing? Not sleeping in the middle of the night and just watching Lia's son. I'm warning you. I haven't settled the score with you over last time, so don't go stirring up more trouble. You're ridiculous. I've already said I only shouted because I thought it was a thief. I've explained it clearly enough. Are you just not getting it? Or are you deliberately picking a fight? Retshin slammed the table in anger. What kind of attitude is that? Lia's son ended up in the hospital because of your tantrum, and you still don't see anything wrong with yourself. I did nothing wrong. If there's any mistake, it's marrying you. Didn't you want a divorce? Fine, I agree, let's do it now. Go find someone else to live with, but before we divorce, you must return my money. Retshin still thought I was the meek, submissive Miramu who lived only for him, daring to glare at me like that. Well, I won't indulge him. If he wants to make a scene, let's see who ends up humiliated. I turned up the volume while shouting and began wiping away tears. I've worked hard to save money for years to prepare for having a child, and you gave it all to Lia's son to buy appliances. Last time, you took my salary without even telling me and gave it to Lia's son to buy clothes. And the time before that, you gave my salary to Lia's son to buy cosmetics. My voice reached its loudest peak, and Retshin's face turned ashen as he rushed to cover my mouth. I bit down hard on his hand. He hadn't expected me to bite him and, in pain, let go and pushed me away. I immediately lay down and started making a huge scene. Didn't Retshin say I was an unreasonable shrew? Today, I'm going to show him what a truly unreasonable shrew looks like. As I lay on the ground making a huge fuss, I recounted every despicable thing Retshin had done. Retshin couldn't stay any longer. He had his pride to consider. He left with a face as dark as thunder. My colleagues and supervisors at work, having eavesdropped for quite some time, felt nothing but sympathy for me. Several married female co-workers came to console me, all the while subtly probing for details about Retshin and Lia's son's affair. In my past life, I cared about face. When bullied, I swallowed my grievances, believing family shame shouldn't be aired, and I didn't want others to look down on me. In this life, I don't want to stay with Retshin, so why should I cover up his disgrace? I spilled everything about Lia's son and Retshin's affairs without holding back. I knew soon the news about Lia's son and Retshin would spread far and wide. With so much gossip, I want to see if Lia's son would actually go to extremes and threaten her own life. After work in the evening, Retshin was unexpectedly at home, a rare occurrence. His hand, which I had bitten and injured, was bandaged as he sat gloomily on a chair in the living room. I acted as if I didn't see him and walked past him straight to the bedroom. Retshin had never been treated so coldly before. Every time we argued, I would shamelessly go to make up within 2 hours. Whether it was my fault or not, I always gave in first. This time, we had been in a cold war for several days, and today I bit him again. Showing no intention of backing down, Retshin sat outside for a while and finally couldn't hold back. He pushed open the bedroom door and asked, "What's for dinner? Eat whatever you like. Why ask me? I said coldly. What kind of attitude is that? Mira moo. I haven't even settled the matter of you biting me, and now you're giving me that look. Then how do you plan to account for injuring me? I retorted sharply. Redshin was left speechless. After a brief silence while looking at the wound on my forehead, he said, I didn't mean to, and I've already apologized to you. I sneered and turned my head away. He stood at the door for a moment before reluctantly walking in. Let me take you out to eat. What would you like? Eat. You'd better pay back the money you owe me first. You owe me quite a bit. I held out my hand. A vein bulged on Retshin's forehead. He wanted to lose his temper but, for some reason, suppressed the anger rising in his chest. Mira, I know you're angry about me helping Liao-sun. I didn't consider your feelings before, and that was my fault. I promise it won't happen again. I looked at Retshin as if seeing a new continent. What do you mean? I've made things clear with Liao-sun. From now on, she doesn't need to come to me for anything. She can go to the guards. She saved me before, and I've helped her find a job and done enough for her. I won't interfere in her affairs anymore. Let's just focus on our life together. That sounded somewhat reasonable, but who knows if it's true or not. I don't believe it anyway. Retshin pulled me up. Let's go out for dinner. I know you need money, and from now on, I'll give you all my salary. I don't know what he's up to. I've never seen such a gentle and considerate Retshin in 2 lifetimes. I was pulled out by Retshin to have dinner. On the road, I encountered Liao-sun. Her eyes red and puffy, seeing Retshin and me. She staggered unsteadily as if a gust of wind could knock her over, looking utterly pitiful. Retshin didn't fuss over Liao-sun as he used to. Instead, he pretended not to see her and left directly with me. Not far away, I heard Liao-sun's cry from behind. It seemed she had fallen. Listening to Liao-sun's cries of pain, I silently counted numbers in my heart. 123. By the time I finished counting to 3, Retshin turned his head. He rushed toward Liao-sun without hesitation, just like before. I smiled with relief. A dog can't change its habit of eating shit. This saying couldn't be more accurate. I didn't plan to have dinner and went home alone instead. Retshin didn't return until late at night. He tried to push open our bedroom door, but I had locked it from inside. Unable to get in, Retshin went to the guest room. In the morning, I got up and Retshin was also awake. He even bought breakfast, smiling at me as if nothing had happened. I got the fried dough sticks and soy milk you like. I sat down expressionlessly and started eating breakfast. Retshin tried to explain. Leah's health is very poor. She has severe anemia. I put down my chopsticks. Who are you trying to disgust first thing in the morning? Retshin was shocked by my icy attitude. He moved his lips, and I immediately followed up. I don't want to hear about irrelevant people or things. I'm not interested. It's ruining my mood. Retshin wanted to lash out but forcibly held back, even attempting to explain to me. Mira, I can't just ignore her. She saved me. If it weren't for her, I would have died back then. I owe her my life. I've heard this meaningless talk too many times. I set down my chopsticks. Who you choose to help is your business. I don't care. You don't have to keep mentioning that you owe her a life. If it's really too hard to decide, just marry her. I'm ready to go to the Civil Affairs Bureau with you anytime. With those words, I stood up and left. Retshin sat there watching my retreating figure, and I had no idea what he was thinking. Whatever he thinks has nothing to do with me. After all, before this, in my past life, I was already neglected and abandoned by him like this. After work in the evening, Retshin came to pick me up at the office. He had bought groceries and personally cooked dinner, only realizing while cooking that many things were missing: pots, pans, and utensils. Everything I had bought was gone, leaving only what Retshin had purchased himself. He exclaimed as if discovering a new continent. Mira, it seems like a lot of things are missing from our home. Yes, there were too many things, and I couldn't use them all. So I gave some away. I see. He didn't quite believe me. Especially since the things I gave away were either brand new or nearly new. How could they be unusable? During the meal, neither of us spoke. Apart from the clinking of bowls and chopsticks, I kept my head down the whole time without saying a word. Retshin kept looking at me. I could feel his gaze, but I didn't respond. Finally, he couldn't help but speak first. Mira, why aren't you wearing your wedding ring? I leisurely drank half a bowl of soup before replying. I sold the wedding ring. Why did you sell it? Retshin asked in surprise. Why, how could he not know? I smiled wryly. Because I'm short on money. I don't have any money on me, and I need to use money. No one is kind enough to give me money willingly, so as someone who's short on cash, I had no choice but to sell the wedding ring. My words left Retshin silent. He knew how much I treasured our wedding ring. After getting married, I had always reminded him to wear his wedding ring, but he had always refused. Using inconvenience as an excuse, all along, it was only me, foolishly wearing that self-prepared wedding ring alone. I pushed away the dishes and stood up, ready to return to my room. I hadn't taken more than a few steps when Retshin's voice came from behind. When my salary comes in, I'll buy you a new ring. I let out a scoff without turning around, and he continued, Liao Sun's physique is simply too weak for military service. I've spoken with her and decided to send her back to her hometown for work, so she can be closer to her parents and family, making it easier for them to take care of her. Retshin's words made me turn my head. Did she agree? Retshin nodded. She agreed. Liao Sun is a reasonable person. She also felt she was causing us too much trouble and said she'd find a chance to apologize to you, to properly clear the air. I smiled ambiguously upon hearing this, and Retshin continued, Mira. My feelings for Liao Sun are purely gratitude. I've never had romantic feelings for her. If my past assistance led you to misunderstand, I sincerely apologize. I'm sorry, such things won't happen again. I simply watched Retshin with a faint smile, which seemed to unsettle him. Mira, she has already agreed to leave here. These days she's busy with work handovers, but she said she'll find time to explain things to you. I hope you can talk to her calmly. Liao Sun actually wants to meet me for a detailed discussion. This is great news. I've been waiting for this day for so long. I smiled and said, great, please tell Liao Sun I'm ready to welcome her anytime, anywhere. Liao Sun came to see me 3 days later. I couldn't wait any longer to meet her. Liao Sun still looked as fragile as ever, as if a gust of wind could knock her over, but the moment she closed the door, ensuring it was just the two of us in the room, she instantly transformed into a different person. She glared at me viciously. Mira Mu, you wretched woman, you must be so pleased to finally have me kicked out, aren't you? Of course, watching you slink away like a stray dog with its tail between its legs brings me immense joy. As my words hung in the air, Liao Sun's face turned ashen with rage. You set me up, playing hard to get by threatening divorce to force Ret to send me away. You shameless bitch, I underestimated you. What you underestimated about me isn't just this. There's plenty more you don't know. Would you like me to spell it out for you in detail? I smiled at her and said, I know about your affair with Shaoli. I know you've set your sights on Retshin and tried to seduce him, and I know you've been plotting against me. You must have prepared quite a few tricks for today, didn't you? You, how did you know? Liao Sun was startled by my bluntness, her arrogance vanishing instantly as she stammered in response. How I know is none of your concern. Now let me guess what you're planning to do next. You're going to fake a fall and accuse me. Shaoli is already waiting outside, ready to rush in when you scream and testify that I harmed you. I smiled as I approached Liao Sun, whose face had turned pale. So go ahead and fall. Scream for help. I'm waiting for your performance. Liao Sun froze, staring at me in shock. I grabbed her hair and forcefully slammed her head against the nearby table. Liao Sun opened her mouth to scream, but a rag was swiftly and precisely stuffed into it. I casually picked up the brick I had prepared earlier and struck Liao Sun's stomach repeatedly. Didn't she falsely accuse me in her past life of pushing her, causing her to lose her uterus and become infertile? In this lifetime, I'll let her have her way and fulfill her wishes. I struck Liao Sun's abdomen fiercely, blow after blow. I watched as her face twisted and changed color, as blood flowed beneath her. Only when I saw her sink into true unconsciousness did I finally release Liao Sun. Then she raised her voice and shouted, Someone come quickly, there's been an accident. Shaoli was the first to rush in, and without even looking, he cried out, Intentional assault. How could you harm Comrade Song like this? You're so vicious. I smiled at Shaoli and said, Don't dawdle. Hurry and take her to the hospital, if we're late. She might really never wake up. After all, she's had a miscarriage with heavy bleeding, and losing the child might mean losing her uterus too. How did you know? Shaoli was stunned. How I know is none of your concern. Listen to me and take her to the hospital. If it's too late, she'll die. You don't want people to know you're the father of the child in her belly, do you? Shaoli, pale and trembling uncontrollably, picked up Liao Sun, who was bleeding profusely, and rushed to the hospital. I followed them. Liao Sun's uterus could not be saved. Just like in the previous life, it was removed. Throughout the entire process, Shaoli waited outside the operating room, his face deathly pale. I stood with my arms crossed, watching Shaoli and couldn't stop laughing. After several hours of surgery, Liao Sun was wheeled out of the operating room unconscious. I asked Shaoli with a smile, Aren't you going to inform your superior? Given Liao Sun's current condition, your superior must be frantic with worry. How about I keep an eye on Liao Sun for you while you personally go and notify Retshin? Shaoli didn't dare to inform Retshin. With a thud, he knelt down in front of me. I looked at Shaoli coldly and said, now you're scared. Weren't you fearless when you were having fun with Lia's son? And you even thought of framing me to turn the tables. Wishful thinking. Xiaoli kept kowtowing until his forehead was bleeding. I watched this despicable and shameless creature with icy disdain. Watching him bleed from his head, I slowly called for a stop. Hold on. What do you plan to do about this? I'll make Lia leave this place. I promise to make her give up her thoughts and never disturb you and the chief again. Is that so? I laughed a few times. No, how can you leave? Lia's son must not go. Please, I beg you. Xiaoli continued to kowtow, but I waved my hand to stop him. I have a way to make all your wishes come true. When I got home, Shen was still cooking in the kitchen. For the past 3 days, it's as if he's become a different person, making dinner every evening. Seeing me return, Shen flashed me a smile. Give me 2 minutes, the meal will be ready soon. I poured myself a glass of water and sipped it slowly. While Shen busied himself arranging the dishes, he served me a large bowl of rice. Eat more. Pregnant women have bigger appetites. From now on, you should have 2 bowls. Without a word, I took it and began eating with my head down, as Shen eagerly piled food onto my plate. After silently finishing most of the bowl, Shen finally spoke up. So, Mira, has Lia's son come to see you? I've already looked. I nodded. What did you two talk about? Nothing much. I continued eating. Shen didn't get the answer he wanted, so he tried to probe indirectly, asking, did she mention when she's leaving? You'll have to ask her about this. I don't know. As soon as I finished speaking, Shen's expression froze. I continued eating with my head down, knowing Shen must have already looked for Lia's son but couldn't find her. Not finding her meant he couldn't know what Lia's son had told me, which was why he came to fish for information from me. To be honest, he was genuinely worried about Lia's son. What a pity, I sighed inwardly, and soon the sound of a car came from outside. Xiaoli rushed in. Chief, something's happened. Comrade Song is in trouble. Shen sprang to his feet, and I also put down my chopsticks to look at Shen. Shen didn't look at me. His gaze was fixed on Xiaoli, staring at the injury on Xiaoli's forehead. Shen's expression was extremely grim. What happened? Xiaoli didn't dare to look at me. Keeping his head down and pretending to wipe away tears, it's very serious. She had her uterus removed and is now unconscious in the hospital. Chief, Comrade Song, she's in such a terrible state. Hearing Xiaoli's words, Shen looked utterly disbelieving. How is that possible? How could this happen out of the blue? Chief, you must go to the hospital quickly. As Xiaoli's voice trailed off, Shen immediately started walking. When he reached the door, I coughed. And upon hearing my voice, he stopped in his tracks. Mira, I'm going to the hospital to see Lia's son. I'll be back soon. I looked at Shen and spoke slowly. Shen, are you sure about this? Mira, this isn't the time for impulsive actions. Lia is unconscious after the incident. I have to go see her and figure out what happened. Since Shen had made his own decision, it was beyond my control. I nodded and stopped trying to stop him. Shen left and never came back. I calmly washed up and went to bed. Before sleeping, I checked my money. Only 5,000 yuan. This amount was far from enough to start a business down south. The next morning, I was startled awake. When I opened my eyes, Shen had already rushed to my bedside. He grabbed my collar and yanked me up from the bed. What a vicious heart you have, Mira Mu. How could you be so cruel and shameless? Why would you do this to Lia's son? She was already preparing to leave. Why couldn't you just let her go? Shen gripped my hand with such force that I struggled to breathe. I clawed at his hand desperately until the pain made him release me. Mira Mu, you've disappointed me so much, committing such an unforgivable act. You might as well prepare for prison. I didn't say a word, just stared coldly at Shen, waiting for his outburst to subside before I finally spoke to him. You don't want to hear my explanation. Explain what? You did such a terrible thing to her. Caused her such harm. As a woman, don't you understand the pain of being unable to bear children? You make it impossible for me to forgive you. Fine, then don't forgive me. Shen, if I've done wrong, send me to jail. You're utterly obstinate, completely obstinate. Don't you feel even the slightest bit of remorse or regret at this moment? How innocent Lia's son is. He yelled at me for a while longer until he was exhausted and finally stopped. Mira Mu, what are you going to do now? What do you plan to do? Leave everything to the police to handle. If you leave it to the police, you're finished. Mira Mu, this is a crime. You'll be sentenced. Fine, then sentence me. I'm not afraid anyway. You're utterly incorrigible. Shen angrily kicked over the chair. After punching the wall a few more times, I watched him coldly, waiting for him to speak first. In my past life, he was the one who initiated the divorce with me. This life should be no different, sure enough. After venting his anger for a while, Retshin calmed down. Mira, I don't want you to go to jail. Do you understand? I don't want you to go to jail. Yeah, I don't want to go to jail either. I nodded. You made a mistake this time, and you must admit it. Go and sincerely apologize to Liao-sun, and then, just an apology. I pressed further. Of course not. You've hurt Liao-sun. This is a serious matter. You can't just do nothing to make amends. What do you need me to do to make it right? You should go hide in the countryside for a while. I'll calm Liao-sun down first. Stay there until I've settled things with Liao-sun, then I'll bring you back. Exactly the same words as in my past life. He didn't mention divorce at all. Just had me sign an apology letter of commitment, telling me to go back to the countryside for pregnancy care and return only after everything was resolved. I couldn't help but laugh. Alright, I promise you. Retshin's letter of apology was quickly brought to me for signing. I knew it was the divorce agreement and signed my name without looking. Seeing me sign, Retshin sighed in relief. Mira, pack your things first. I'll send you away. I nodded. I have no money. Could you give me what's mine? Retshin agreed. Though I'm not sure where he got the money, probably borrowed it. Anyway, that very night he came back and handed me $2,000. I tucked the money safely into my pocket, and on the day of my departure, Shelley gave me another $3,000. This was originally my money that Liao-sun had swindled from Retshin. Now that it was returned to its rightful owner, I accepted it without any guilt. On the day of departure, Retshin was supposed to personally see me off, but he stood me up at the last minute due to an unexpected matter. This was just as well, as I had no intention of returning to his hometown to be treated like a beast of burden. Now that the divorce was finalized, dealing with the abortion became much simpler. I went to the hospital to get rid of the unwanted child in my belly. Then after a month of recovery, I took 10,000 yuan and headed south by train. The days of struggling alone away from home are bittersweet, but living for myself keeps me giving my all. I fear neither hardship nor exhaustion, with my heart set solely on making money. After a year of hard work away from home, I finally managed to secure my own shop through my own efforts. While purchasing wholesale goods, I ran into someone I once knew, a distant cousin from Retshin's hometown whom I'd only met briefly before. Retshin's distant cousin was very surprised to see me. Mira, what are you doing here? Do you know Retshin has been looking for you for a long time? I quietly looked at Retshin's distant cousin as she told me that Retshin's mother had an accident and was paralyzed, needing someone to take care of her. Then, after calling Retshin, he finally realized I hadn't returned to his hometown. Retshin's distant cousin asked me, "Why did you go south to do business?" I smiled faintly. "Didn't Retshin tell you about this? You should ask him for the details." "What about your child? It must have been born by now, right? I remember you were pregnant at the time, and Retshin also mentioned you were several months along when you left. The child is dead, gone." Retshin's cousin's eyes widened in shock, but I was busy attending to other guests and didn't continue the conversation with her. I never expected Retshin to find me. One night after I finished work, Retshin suddenly appeared out of nowhere. He was carrying bags of stuff in his hands and called out to me affectionately, just like before, "Mira." I glanced at him indifferently, and he forced a smile. "I heard you were here, Mira. Why did you come here without saying a word? I had such a hard time finding you. Why look for me? Aren't you married? Shouldn't you be spending a long, happy life with Liao-sun, generation after generation? Why think of looking for me now? Caught red-handed by me?" Retshin's face flushed with embarrassment. He actually felt ashamed. "Mira, I didn't mean to deceive you. It's just that Liao-sun was in such a terrible state back then, and she insisted it was your doing. I didn't want you to go to jail. For you and the baby, I had no choice but to resort to this desperate measure, agreeing to divorce you and marry her. I never intended to marry her. It was just a temporary solution. I just couldn't bear to see you in prison or suffering." I couldn't help but laugh. "Retshin, do you really think I'd believe you now? Do you still take me for the fool I once was?" Retshin's expression shifted repeatedly as he offered his first humble apology. "Mira, I'm sorry. I was wrong. I was truly wrong. Alright, if you're here to apologize to me, I've received it. As for whether I accept it or not, that's not something you need to concern yourself with. You can leave now. Mira, I want to see our child. I bought gifts for the baby." This made me burst into laughter, laughing until tears streamed down my face. Retshin looked at me, bewildered, as I laughed for a long time, truly finding it all so absurd. Finally, I laughed until I was exhausted. "Retshin, where did you get the confidence that I would give birth to your bastard?" Retshin's face turned from red to white, which was quite amusing. I continued laughing. "You really have some nerve, don't you? Divorcing me to marry your beloved Liao-sun." then expecting me, completely in the dark, to bear your children, carry on your family line, and take care of your parents for the rest of my life, serving as your lifelong old maid. Don't you think you're utterly shameless? I'm not. You are exactly that kind of person, don't deny it. Otherwise, why would you marry Lia's son? Why were you in such a hurry to send me away? Why did it take you over a year after I left to think of contacting me, if you had even a shred of conscience? You wouldn't have abandoned me when I was pregnant, would you? Let me guess why you came to me. Judging by your appearance, things must not be going well for you. After all, Chief Shen always travels with his guards. Where's your loyal guard, Shaoli? Ret Shen was speechless, and I continued to laugh. You picked up a worn-out shoe that Shaoli had already played with and treated it like a treasure. Now you're getting your just desserts, aren't you? Do you know why you've ended up like this? It's because I reported you. When I left a letter for your competitor. It was you. You're the one who reported me. Why? How dare he have the nerve to ask me why? Ret Shen, did you think I left because I was clueless and deceived by you? Wrong. All of this was my plan. At this point, I have nothing left to hide. I want to see the priceless expression on Ret Shen's disgusting face when he learns the truth. I knew Shaoli and Lia's son were plotting against me. I knew Shaoli and Lia's son were having an affair. I knew Lia's son's act of saving you back then was fake. It was all a scheme by Shaoli and Lia's son to deceive you, just to get you to arrange a good job for Lia's son. Who would have thought you'd fall for Lia's son's act so easily? So they changed their plan at the last moment. Ret Shen's expression began to darken, and I knew his heart was being torn apart. I know you've shifted your affections and fallen for Lia's son. How could someone as disgusting and filthy as you deserve to hold such a high position? So, I gave you both a grand gift, knowing Lia's son deceived you. Knowing your position would be affected, so you harmed Lia's son and Shaoli, leaving them disabled, and now you've lost your job too. I took a deep breath, watching Ret Shen's ashen face. All of this was a grand gift I carefully planned for you. Do you like my gift? Ret Shen turned livid with rage at my confession, and I continued to smile, adding fuel to the fire. You married a worn-out shoe that nobody else wanted, treating it like a treasure, and then lost your chance for promotion and wealth because of it. Now you dare to dream of coming back to me for reconciliation, even thinking I'd bear your children. What makes you think you deserve that? Is it because you have a thick face? Ret Shen jumped up in a rage, trying to hit me. But I wasn't about to tolerate it. Help, assault, harassment. As I shouted, I gave him a hard kick between the legs. Ret Shen doubled over in pain, and the people around, hearing my cries for help, quickly gathered around. I accused Ret Shen of molesting me, and soon kind-hearted people escorted Ret Shen to the police station. Once a high and mighty figure, Ret Shen was full of glory, but now, no one indulges the down-and-out Ret Shen. Watching my husband being so intimate with another woman made me tremble with anger. He lost his job, lost everything, and then his mother at home had an accident. Ret Shen still wanted to keep using me as his fool, thinking I loved him and could be easily deceived by his sweet talk. But having been reborn, how could I possibly jump into that fire pit again? Ret Shen didn't leave, he stayed around, and seeing my business doing well, he even plotted to win me back. In the end, the heavens couldn't stand it anymore. On a rainy night, he was hit by a car and lost both his legs. Ret Shen became disabled and will spend the rest of his life in a wheelchair. This is his retribution. He had been asking around, trying to get me to see him. I refused. I've already witnessed his downfall and am satisfied. There's no need to disgust myself again. From now on, I'll walk my path of flowers. And he can live his life of poverty and misery, so be it.